Hey YouTube, Munison Beer here. Remember back a month or so ago when I said if I didn't have anything, relevant beer related to talk about, I wouldn't bother with a video? Well, although I've done some brewing since then, I haven't really had anything that I thought was relevant enough to make a video, but here we are. Let me turn this around and show you my fermenting freezer. Huh, that doesn't much look like my fermenting freezer. It looks like a shelf next to a dryer. This porch is becoming a laundry room, and we progress to the point where that spot right there is no longer where my fermenting freezer is. Let's go find it. Okay, well, there it is. Let's take a peek inside. Inside we have two cornies that have some degree of carbonation. I'll explain that later. And we have one carboy that needs to be transferred. This has all been cold crashed, and this needs to be transferred into a corny here soon. That third corny will also fit inside this fridge, and we are currently at a fairly cool temperature because we've cold crashed, and this does have a collar on it, which we are going to drill through because this is going to be where I'm going to dispense from. I'm going to have 3 taps here. I'm still just going to have picnic taps inside, and I will just open the top to do that. And I will have room after this is a corny to put some other, some bottled beers and growlers and stuff inside this fridge as well. And that will be where beer will come from when I need a beer. Now, this, of course, is my current beer fridge, and it's currently got a little bit of beer down there, but pretty barren. And that's what we're going to talk about. So, the fermentation freezer turning into the dispensing freezer is a pretty straightforward project. I have a 20-pound CO2 tank, thank you Heavy Rift Beer, that's been recertified and filled up and ready to go, and it will sit next to that, and we will drill through that wooden collar and put CO2 in. We'll split CO2 into 3 spots. I still have to get the shut off so that I don't have to have 3 at a time. It's a good thing I have 3 kegs at the moment because the other project is going to be a little more involved. The other project is currently my mini fridge, and there are a lot of videos about the actual project out there, and if you don't want to take my word for it, go look them up, where you take the guts of a mini fridge and you turn it into, usually they're turning it into a kegerator. I want to turn it into a fermentation chamber. And so I haven't exactly determined. That's probably going to be plywood, 2 or 3 inch styrofoam, the compressor on the outside, and the chill plate on the inside from this mini fridge, so that I can ferment in it. I don't really need to be able to ferment 6 at a time. I would like to be able to fit 2 buckets comfortably in there. I'd like to be able to have 2 in there at a time. That's kind of where I'd like that to go. And so, and since I don't usually secondary very often anyway, I'll still just go into I'll use a plastic bucket most of the time. Occasionally I will use the glass carboy. I only use the glass carboy if there's a real reason to do a clearing secondary. In this case, that's Jared's Pub Pumpkin. It's got a lot of stuff in it, and you want that clearing time, and that's why that one's in the glass carboy. And so that's going to be the project. Like I said, I don't quite have it sorted out yet. What we'll do in the next day or 2 is transfer the stuff that's going to actually should happen today, because it should be plenty cooled off now. That's cold crashed, and we're going to keg it with vanilla, and that freezer will be done. I'll just drill that line in, CO2 them up. Now what I did was I just hooked up both those other cornies. I hooked them up, turned them up to 20 pounds, filled them, disconnected them, just left them. So there's CO2 on top. In those, they're not carbonated, but they do have CO2 in the headspace in those cornies. And so that'll have that chamber done. Pretty easy project. And when that happens, I will move the last little bit of beer that's here, and the beer from out there, and the beer from out there, all into that other space in that fridge. And this one will then be moved out. The downside, of course, is that I'm going to lose all my... I'm going to have to figure out how I'm going to do this. I'm going to have to either take a lot of time and effort. Let's see if I can turn this around. A lot of time and effort to remove these. Some of them are just taped on there, but most of these are stuck on there. Now, like the beer labels, those are just... they were wet and they went on there. I would think I'd be able to get those off. The actual decals, probably not, but Hordock and Black Rocks are my local brew pubs. I can get those easy enough. Two-Hearted, I probably can get a hold of a new sticker, but those stickers are... I may have to save this door and mount it somewhere. There's a few on the side, but not too many. But I got a lot of stuff on that that fridge that represents some really cool beers that I've had. And although I've basically gone to... just a minute here. I got some magnetic strips where I keep caps, which is kind of a lot cleaner way to do that. Here, let's spin the camera back. Just the caps are an easier way to do it. The downside of the caps is there's a Bell's caps up there. Well, that doesn't tell you whether it was, Two-Hearted or Pale, Midwestern Pale or Oberon or whatever else, So I got to figure out how I'm going to save those. Because I definitely want to save those. I may just mount that door in my garage or something. Just take the door out, because the door is going to come off, because the whole thing's going to get disassembled and cut up, and the guts are going to be taken out and put in something else to do fermentation, which is a fairly involved project right before deer season, and I have at least one or two more batches I'd like to get done right now. I'd like to get one more done for deer season, and that one's tight, because that's 3 weeks. But when I'm kegging, I can get ready in 3 weeks. I can 10 days into primary. I can go into secondary. I can or 10 days into bucket, a week in the keg, and it's just about ready. So it'll be close. That's 17 days. I got 20. Okay, so what I might do. See, that's why you make the video. What I might do is ferment in this. This used to be my fermentation vessel, and so I will ferment in this fridge one time, just the way it is, before I convert it to something bigger. Actually, I might leave it that way for a fair amount of time, because being 3 kegs in, I have room in my rotation to do one at a time. I'm not going to be bumped up against needing to do 2 at a time for a while. Although if I'm going to do one for my brother-in-law for Christmas again, which is a good idea, I should start that soon. Of course, that means bottling again, which really doesn't make me excited. But these are the things we do for family. So that's kind of what's going on with the whole, how am I dispensing my beer and where's it going. The projects themselves, I will keep you updated, and I'll give you posts, and I'll show you how it's progressing. If somebody really wants me to do a video when I turn this into it, in the step-by-step video, if people post comments, I may do that. But like I said, there are some really good videos out there on how to do that. Most of which I've watched, a lot of which I will probably review before such time as I undertake that project. I will show you, in my, when I turn that in and drill the holes and do that, I probably once again won't show you the actual video of me drilling a hole and all that, but I'll give you an update and show you the manifold in there and get that squared away so that you can see how it is that I have that done, and how, because mine's not going to have tap towers. It's not going to come through the side. Mine's just going to have picnic taps on the inside. And so I'll show you how I go about that when the time comes. My plan for this year's deer camp is to do growlers, because I can cold crash down to cold. I can throw the growlers in the freezer so they're cold when I fill them. I can turn up the CO2 and fill them up And now that I have a 20-pound CO2 tank, I can do bottle and runs right off my tank without too much trouble. I don't currently have a, beer gun, but that will probably be something that I look into soon. So, all right, cheers, 17, and hope you enjoyed the video. Leave your comments one way or the other. Talk to you guys later.